Was this break good for the team? Was it good mentally? Tell me what good comes out of this.
I'll tell you after the game tomorrow night. But I do think this late in the year, Vic, I think tough schedule coming out of the break, not only from a strength of schedule standpoint, a lot of games, a lot of travel, back-to-backs. Anytime you can get 3 days between contests, try to use that to your advantage. Get some mental rest, get some physical rest, emotional, whatever it may be. And hopefully that allows us to come out tomorrow night and just play with a tremendous amount of energy.
I know one of the goals coming into this year on that point was to be rested going into the playoffs more so than last year. 2 weeks to go, but how do you feel the team is positioned to accomplish that part of the goal?
I think I'd give an unfortunate answer to that. I think guys will be much better rested than last year because of the injuries that we've had. You know, you look at Aaron Gordon's game missed. You look at Jamal's. You look at Nikola missing the 10 days that he missed, with the multiple injuries that he's been dealing with. So I know that on paper, Nikola's minutes are probably at a career high. But I think overall with 7 to go, I think we're in a good place. These are going to be 7 really difficult games, so we'll take it one game at a time. But overall, I don't think we have the championship hangover playing into June, which I think was a part of last year. And I think some guys, because of the injuries they've had to deal with, have been able to get some rest while they've been out with those respective injuries.
I think one recurring theme of the last couple of years has been internal accountability amongst players, but even just everybody in the gym. Where do you think, is that something that you think grows? It's a long season, but maybe at this point in the season it becomes a little bit more ramped up.
With the guys
holding each other accountable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important to have. And I challenge our guys, like it's okay to say that, hey man, I didn't do this, I gotta be better. And it's okay to say, hey, I need more from you. I try to do it all the time. I give our players a tremendous amount of credit. And I always hold myself accountable first and foremost. And hopefully that is something we as a group continue to do because we have to have each other's backs and we have to push each other to become the best that we can be. And every great team has that. And I think we do a good job of that, and I don't think there's always room for improvement.
Minnesota's really made it, a point to put a lot of pressure on Jamal and Mike. What ways can you guys kind of free those two up?
Well, I would say, before anything about Jamal, about Mike, about this, about that, there's 2 things that jump off the page when you look at the last 2 games. It's the points allowed off offensive rebounds and turnovers. If you go back and look at those 2 box scores, we're allowing 52.5 points per game in offensive rebounds and turnovers. So Mike, Jamal, this, that, you're not going to beat Minnesota if you give them 52 points. I mean, they had 12 offensive rebounds for 29 points last game. Game 2, they blew us out in Minnesota. We had 37 points were given up off of our mistakes. Aside from that, we have to do a better job of freeing both Michael and Jamal up, giving them more room to operate, creating separation for them. Get McDaniels, get Edwards, get Alexander Walker, who's ever charged with guarding those guys. Just give them more room to attack. But it starts with defending, rebounding, taking care of it, and playing in the open court so they can't implement all the defensive game plans that they try to employ against us.
When the practices are so few and far between at this point in the season, I imagine you feel like there's a lot to accomplish when you are in a full practice setting like this. How do you go about prioritizing the things that you want to accomplish in these limited settings?
Yeah, I mean, we practiced today, but it was a very brief practice. And so I have to be smart going into a back-to-back, going into a 3 and 4, knowing that Jamal, Nikola, Aaron, different players, dealing with their own respective bumps and bruises, that I don't want to win the battle, lose the war. So we prioritize, all right, cleaning up our offense, going through things. This is how they guard us. This is how we can counter it. We talk about going through their offense. This is how we want to try to guard things, give them different looks, and get some reps on that. And then we'll repeat that tomorrow so we have a little bit more comfort with what we're trying to do. But it's easy to say, we got to do something different. Well, we also just have to play a hell of a lot harder. I think they've approached these games like it's a rivalry, and I think we've approached these games like it's another game sometimes. And one of my coaches, Andrew Munson, this is his scout, he says it after every time we play them. He goes, I've watched their last 5 to 7 games, and they never play as hard as they do against us. And you can sense that, you can notice it. So you throw everything else out the window, this team's beaten us 5 games in a row, and hopefully that can resonate within our guys, and we can come out with the proper mindset tomorrow.
Does that mean it is becoming a rivalry? I know you said earlier this season you didn't feel like it was totally there.
We just got to play harder, whether it's a rivalry or not. I mean, I don't care who you're playing. You're playing St. Buzzies. They beat you 5 times in a row. Sometimes your pride's got to kick in and not allow somebody to come into your house and continue to kick your ass.
Michael, what are you looking for from a guy like Zeke, who's probably trying to earn some playoff minutes in these final stretch of regular season games?
Yeah, continue to do what he's done when given the opportunity. I think Zeke, when we were banged up, he was given a great opportunity to play, and he took advantage of it. And knocking down the threes, guarding the ball, I think his one-on-one defense has been really effective. Being a rim protector, using his athleticism around the rim, help us on the glass. I think that's an area that all 5 guys on the floor have to continue to really focus on, is gang rebounding so we can get out and run. And then obviously when we're fully healthy, those minutes are harder to come by. So then you get back to just staying ready like he did when called upon in Charlotte many months ago. So proud of him, and now he's just got to, like everybody, if you get into the postseason and that rotation starts to shrink, it all comes down to matchups, and you got to stay ready and you got to be disciplined.
How much of practice was, I know you said it was light and brief, but how much was Jamal able to do?
Oh yeah, he got through all the practice. Again, we weren't going up and down. We didn't do a lot of live competitive stuff, but Jamal was out there for the entirety of it, and hopefully that bodes well for tomorrow night.
Zeke was just saying you guys kind of add plays, sets throughout the year. Is there a balance to be found of adding new plays versus also not getting too far away from what you do? And if so, when did you find that balance, I guess, in your career?
Yeah, I think, what usually happens is you introduce a play as an ATO, and then it has some success. After timeout, for those that aren't familiar with coaching vernacular, and then that ATO becomes part of your kind of play call list. Now the guys understand that now it's not just written on the board out of a timeout, it's something we can call dead ball free throw and we can execute it. And then as the season goes along, you see changes in how teams are guarding us. So we have to react to that. We have to help our guys and give them counters to whatever the defense is trying to do. But you always don't want to get away from how we played, which is a read and react offense, playing through Nicola no matter what they're doing, space the floor properly, and playing the game, reading the game. And I think that's something our guys have done a great job for many years now.